All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Claudia, and on this episode, we are going to be talking about how my thought process with adoption at the glorious age of 29. All right, so let's jump right into it. Right. So, here's what's going on. I am a single female, currently single. I am 29 years old, going on 30 this year, 2022. And I have always known I wanted to adopt. For some reason, I'm drawn to adoption, right? I don't I don't know how to explain it. If you guys, I don't know if some people can relate or if you know what I'm talking about. Like, I'm just drawn to it. Now, in the recent years, as I'm thinking about my late 20s and 30s, I've been thinking about like what the first step to do is. I've gotten to that point in my life that I feel like, okay, I think I'm ready to make the first step, right? So I am online doing research and whatnot. So this happened a couple of months ago, maybe about 2 months ago. I am online doing some research about adoption and what I want, and basically what agency to use. Obviously, if you are someone who has thought about adoption, a lot of people say it is cheaper to go with state adoption, but based off on the state you're in, there's only a certain number of children. No, I don't want to say certain number. There are always children in every state up for adoption, but in whatever state you're in, a lot of the children that are up for state adoption are usually children with needs, with that have disabilities and have like needs. And if you're not in a place, I always say, if you're not in a place that you can do that, do not do it, right? So the state I'm currently at right now, when I check on the state website, a lot of the kids they have that are up for adoption are kids that have a lot of like disabilities, and they have a lot of needs, and I don't know how to explain it, and this might come out really bad. Um I feel terrible even saying it, but I don't know. I don't know. I might change my mind when I actually start the process and stuff, but I don't know if I have it within me. I don't know. I don't know if I'm that strong. Is what I would like to say. I don't know if I'm that strong to adopt a kid who has extra needs. Is what I'm saying. Extra needs and things like that. Um I'll be the first one to admit it's not the best thing to say. It's like I'm picking and choosing, but I think at the end of the day, the fact that I can be honest about it rather than bring a kid and struggle, and then I don't know. I'm a planner just based off of my character and everything. I just don't know if I have it within me, if I have the emotional bandwidth and the mental strength to do that. I'm just gonna put it like that. Um, so anyways, moving on from that. So I go online and I'm looking. So there's not like a lot of like options. There's not a lot of options for me to choose from or figure out like, okay, this is an entity, an organization I'm interested in getting more information about. So okay, I finally found one, and I'm not gonna mention their name. Maybe down the line I will, but right now I'm not going to mention their name. But I do find one, and they actually like are very specific, and they do mostly infant adoption. So I'm of the firm belief that if I'm adopting, I would prefer to have an infant or a teenager or an adult. I feel like as an infant, I can teach them whatever values I'm interested in passing down, right? What values mean a lot to me, values and stuff like that. Basically, mold them the way I want. Like, their brains are still open. As a teenager, it's more of I don't want to say mental kind of thing. It's like I'm there for you, but I also know you have your identity already, and I am just there to support you. I'm there to give you the love maybe that you didn't have, and I'm just there to support you. I look at it like a mentor, big brother, big sister kind of thing, parent, but more of okay, I respect you. Let's go for it. I I don't particularly want a toddler or the developmental stages. I don't want to. I would prefer not adopting one of those stages. I would either like an infant or I would like a teenager. I would prefer a teenager. But those are just preferences, right? I am not opposed to anything, I would say. So if a toddler is all that's available, I'm gonna have a toddler. That's just what's gonna happen. I'm gonna have to tweak certain things, right? We all have preferences, but we all have to adapt and change based off on the needs and the availability. So yes, so anyways, I found this website and they specialize in infant adoption. And I spoke to them, and basically I need about 40K, 40 to 50K, and this is me overestimating. But that's what I need to basically just like, be good and just be like, okay, I'm definitely ready. Like, you guys need this. Okay, here's the money, like that's my budget, anyways, for the adoption. So I'm like, okay, not bad. I hear you. I'll take this into consideration. I'm going to look at my budget. And so this was kind of a tentative thing for me, and to see like, okay, this is what I need to save up for, blah 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 blah. And I do exactly that. So I'm like, okay, thank you for giving me all the information I need. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna think about this, and I will come back to you guys when I'm ready. So I take that into play. I take that into play. I take that into factor, and I've made a list. I have a whole like mood board, for a vision board for my adoption process, basically, and when I would like to start and things like that. But I've had to put that on the back burner for now, just because there's other things I need to do that require a lot more money, and I need to finish those first. So on my priority list, me finishing my adoption is maybe not like top right now. There's something else that are like top two. Then maybe it falls in like the top five, but it's like the third, fourth, fifth, falls somewhere around there. So I'm like, okay, I have to do this other thing first, and then I'm gonna come back to this. But so again, remember this story happened 2 months ago. Now I sit here, recently I've just been thinking about a lot of things, right? It's like, I'm going back to, am I really ready? No, I don't know. It's so difficult, especially as a single woman. It's like you think about all these things. You're single, it's like, just when you have a kid, it makes dating so much harder. Like, it's it's so hard. So I'm like, do I want to adopt now? Do I want to wait till I have a partner to adopt? Are they even going to want to adopt? And when I say single, I'm a single African African American woman, right? A lot of a lot of emphasis on the African here, because I grew up in Cameroon. So it's like my partner, a lot of times it's not like we're very very open to adoption. A lot of the people I know in the African community, it's like, yeah, I want to adopt, but it's usually like, oh, I want to have it after I have my own kids, or if I can have kids, right? So it's hard. It's like, how do I bring up the topic to someone who, and I'm just like, yeah, I might be able to have my own kids, but I also want to adopt. It's like, I just want to adopt. Like, it's just something that I've thought about and I would like to do. It's just, everything is just so difficult. So I'm just over here. I literally had a mini breakdown yesterday because I was thinking about it and I was like, I don't know what to do. It's like, oh my god, like, having kids, adopting kids is a whole process on its own. It's like, you go for counseling for this. This is not something that people normally do. And like, if I adopt the kid, are they gonna like me as a mom? There's this fear of like my kid rejecting me. And I remember bringing it up to a couple of family members, and the big thing is like, this kid is gonna leave you and they'll always end up going back to their parents, right? Like their blood parents. And I'm like, I recognize that, and I would not want to do that to a kid. Again, it depends on God willing, depends on, every situation is different, depends on my situation. But if I had a choice, I would actually be very open to like an open adoption. I would love for the kid to have a relationship with the actual parents. um I know it's not for everyone, but I that's just how I feel. That's really how I feel. Um, so long as there's like laws in place and I feel like documentation in place to protect me, then it is what it is. But yeah, there was this fear. It's just like, am I good enough to be a mom? And sorry, I'm looking down, guys. I have like notes here, right? So it's like, am I good enough to be a mom? It's like, um, how do I want to do this, right? It's like there's this fear. I'm 29, I'm single, I don't have kids. Like, trust me, as much as you're confident, everybody goes through these questions, right? It's like, I'm 29, I'm single, I don't have kids. And even though there's a question mark for them, it's something that I'm going back and forth with. But it's like, yeah, if I end up, I'm almost 30, it's like soon I'm gonna be 40, you know, what is my goal, right? It's like, if I want to have create generational wealth, where's the generation that's going to be inheriting this world, right? So I'm thinking about all these things. I literally had a mini breakdown, and it's like, I'm gonna be so old, I'm gonna have kids at like 40. Which agency is gonna want me? Because every adoption agency has like different requirements, right? So it's like, which adoption agency is gonna want me? It's like there's this big fear. It's like age is like knocking on the door, right? And then I'm thinking about like all these things, even though I'm making an effort not to dwell on it too much, right? Because this is a story for another day, but just because I have a very strong sense of self. So I'm making sure that it's not getting to the point of depression, but I still do have all these questions. It's like, if I adopt, are my kids gonna like me? How will my friends or my family react? Is it gonna be a, oh, that's not really your kid kind of thing? Because I would love for the people in my circle to be very supportive, right? So if you have people already saying how, oh, that's not your kid, or the kid doesn't look like you, or just all these things, like, how do I navigate this, right? I have friends who have done foster care, and so they've told me a little bit of what the process is like, and I think I would love to start with foster care. I think that's the route I'm thinking about going in at the moment, because bringing up a kid as a single parent is really hard. The older I get, the more I'm really like getting a deeper understanding of what that means, because it's like I wake up sometimes in my bed, and I'm like, okay, I have this to do today. I have so many things I need to get through the day, and I'm like, how do parents do it? Like, in addition to your things, then you have the kids. It's like I have to wake them up for school, you have to take care of them. So it's like, okay, it's hard. And not just by yourself, because I feel like some people even have partners, but they're still doing everything by themselves. So having the right partner to be there to support you is very, very important. You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard. So I'm thinking about all these things, and it's certainly difficult. I'm totally of the strong belief that having kids is something that you have to sit down and really think about it, right? Not saying that if it happens, like, hey, you're responsible. Like, it's happened. Hey, we're gonna make do. But I'm saying that if at whatever age you're at, you don't have kids yet, and maybe you get like baby fever and stuff, or you're getting to a point where you're like, you know what, I feel like I would like to have kids. I think it's really good to sit down and be like, okay, here's where I'm at. Do I have the resources to help me? Because then now you're looking at a community. Do I have a community around me to help me? If I need to do daycare, how am I going to do daycare? How am I going to do that? You're looking at all these things, and if you don't have a community, if you don't have a partner, a supportive partner, right? That's very important. If you don't have a supportive partner, if you don't have a community, if you don't have the means, the resources, not saying you shouldn't have kids, but I'm saying that maybe try to work to a point that you can support support yourself and support the kid, right? Because I just feel like rather for me to do things for me anyways, I don't like things to be hard. It's like I could have easily had a kid at the age of like 23, but it would have just made things a lot harder for me than now, or maybe later on in the future. Just because I'm able to provide for myself, I have a much better sense of balance, right? So I'm like, okay. But if I had it then, I would have just been like, hey, we make do. Like, it is what it is. I'm gonna have to figure out things faster, right? But I think it's definitely something to take into account. And basically, we need to think and seriously think about when if you're someone who plans and you're planning to have kids. I think it's really important for you to think about, like, okay, I want to have kids, I want to have that. Am I good enough? Am I good enough? Because it's not just about the money, right? It's like, am I good enough? Do I have healthy outlets around me? Do I have a community? Do I have like all these other things, right? Because the other thing that a lot of people don't talk about is how you recognize your trauma and how you pass that on to your kids, and how that trauma just keeps moving on from generation to generation, and it gets worse or it gets better, right? Because again, not every kid, like, your past as a kid does not define you, right? You have some people who come from really, really, like, difficult backgrounds, but they're able to recognize that within themselves and work towards a healthy living situation, a healthy sense of self. And that's great. But then there's other people also who come from a toxic background, and because of one reason or another, they are not able to recognize that within themselves, and then they just pass that on, to the next generation, or to their kids, and that just goes on and on and on. So I think it's very important for us to work on ourselves first before, like, trying to bring other human beings in this world that we are going to be taking care of. Again, nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes, but if you can reduce the number of mistakes that you have or that you're going to make, I think that's always a good thing to do. All right. So let's see. I think that was what was in my brain today, and that's really what I wanted to talk about. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys take something from this and just be like, if you're someone who has been thinking about this, you're not the only one. I'm there with you. If you're someone who is feeling this pressure to have kids, I think, having one day as a tia or an auntie, like that, it's always good, because one full day, right? Because it makes you reevaluate and be like, am I ready for this? Am I ready for this? Right? Like, have questions, ask your friends around you, like, do you think I'm ready to have kids? Like, and not to say they'll give you the answer, but they might be like, you want to think a little more bit more about that, because I have three at home and it's not easy, right? You want to hear their own experiences, you want to hear their perspectives. But yes, I hope you guys listened. I hope you guys took something out of this. Really, 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 I tried my best to just communicate my thoughts out there and make it in such a way that it wasn't so jumbled and you guys could actually, like, get a feel of what I think sometimes. But yeah, please feel free to subscribe, like, share, whichever works for you. I would love it. I like the fact that you guys are watching, listening. Like, I'm loving this. So please, let's keep at it. I hope I can also keep at it. It's 2022. I need to change and be more consistent, but it's gradual steps, gradual steps. I'm gonna get better at this. So, but thank you guys, and I hope to see you guys on the next episode. All right. Thank you. You have a good one.